What is up, dudes and lady dudes? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today I'm showing you another deck profile. This time we're looking at Shaddolls. It's one of my favorite decks now. For the longest time, I really wasn't the biggest fan of Shaddolls, but I'm back on it. Not even back on it, I'm just on it for the first time, and I like it a lot, man. I showed you guys a trap variant before. It's like a very budget version. This is like the next version up, I think, in terms of competitive play. I think it's a little bit better overall, but obviously I think the trap version can still like do really well. Just the Shaddol engine's just really good, and I think it's just totally slept on. You have so many power cards, but this one specifically is going to be Shaddol Invoked. No Dogmatica in this list because I don't have it. It's too expensive for my taste at the moment, so hopefully we might be able to look at that in the future. But this one is strictly a Shaddol Invoked variant. So I don't want to waste too much time. I want to show you my list because it's just... It's awesome, man. I love this deck. I didn't really like this deck before. I didn't even like it when it was tier 1 at the beginning of the year, and now I actually just like really enjoyed the deck. So starting off with the monster lineup, we're going to look at 2 copies of Shaddol Wendy, 2 copies of Shaddol Squamata, then we have 1 Hedgehog, 1 Beast, 1 Ariel, and 1 Dragon. So kind of a more concise list of Shaddol monsters here. Sometimes you'll see bigger lists and other kind of variants. When I did the trap variant, it was like way more cards. I think it was like 50 cards in the main. This deck is 40 on the dot, so I want to keep it concise. The deck's still very consistent, but you still want the utility of being able to like banish stuff from your opponent's grave, pop a back row, get the draws off Beast, get the search here. Squamata still wants to load your graveyard up for Shaddol Rook or Schism, whatever you prefer, and Wendy's just like the best one. So that's it. Sometimes you will miss like, oh man, I wish I had a second banish off Ariel in a grind game, or oh a back row matchup, I wish I had another dragon pop and stuff. But it is what it is. You definitely have to make trade-offs here, and I think the power increase makes up for the lack of like utility that we are now missing a little bit. Obviously, we're playing Shaddol Invoked. I'm on 3 Alistair. We're maxing out on this. I definitely wouldn't blame anybody if they only want to play 2 of this. I think if you're trying to make space for like the Dogmatica engine, you could definitely drop a copy of this. But I just think like, because I'm playing a lot of hand traps in this variant, you could easily just like go Alistair into a Makaba and just play like Makaba control with like 2 or 3 other hand traps backing him up, and that's why I still like Alistair, because he is a power card. He does get you like just a lot of value just off of his summon, and he searches you a fusion too, so obviously can't sleep on that in a fusion deck. Which then takes us to our hand trap lineup. We're not getting too crazy here. A lot of just stuff we've seen before, but it is pretty dense here. We're on the 3 Gamma and the Driver. This card's insane in this deck because people are going to want to ash your Shaddol Schism, or not Shaddol Schism, Shaddol Fusion or Magical Meltdown, because they know what those cards represent. They just represent so much value for you. And then, of course, the busted nature of Meltdown, not allowing your opponent to respond to like particular like fusion summons and fusion fusion spells and stuff. It's just insane. 3 copies of Ash. This card's also really good because it does negate Gamma, which can be kind of annoying with certain plays in your deck, as well as like in the mirror, not allowing their fusion or their meltdown to resolve can be huge. So definitely a very good card. 2 copies of Ogre, 2 copies of Veiler, and 2 copies of Nibiru. I like these because they're all light, which is great because obviously you want to be making Construct to kind of get your engine started. But also I like them at 2, 2, and 2 because they just keep my hand trap lineup versatile. I just get to open a wide range of different hand traps, and so it kind of keeps your opponent guessing. Especially with like Ogre. Nobody really respects Ogre right now. Oh, my camera froze a little bit. Give it a sec. But yeah, Ogre is, a lot of people just don't respect it, and they can easily get punished by it. Because some plays, like some decks, just if you hit them at the right point in their combo, like losing that monster just like loses them the play. Like they just literally lose the entire combo if they don't like respect Ogre. And I understand it because at some point, like if you watch out for one hand trap but not the other, it's like hard, but like still, that's how this game works. There's too many cards to watch out for all at one time, and Ogre's actually pretty good right now. So that's it for the monsters. Then we get into the spells here, obviously for the fusions. 3 Shaddol Fusion and 2 El Shaddol Fusion. I still like El Shaddol Fusion. I just think in a list like this, I'm playing 40 cards. I was trying to just you know, keep it tight on space by adding literally 3 Alistair plus 4 Meltdowns and the 2 Invocations. We have like 9 more copies for fusion spells, so you don't have to hard open this as much as possible. A lot of times you can send this if you want, just to get that extra card and be able to fuse on your opponent's turn outside of Schism. But yeah, I think 2 is plenty, especially with Schism. Like, you might be like, oh, but like now we have 1 less fusion. Well, we also put Schism in the deck, so now it's, you know, we still have 6 fusions there for the Shaddol stuff. So, and this card's just insane. I don't even need to talk about that card. If that card resolves, like, get out of town. Like, Duel's done, man. Duel's done. Alright, and then for the Invoke stuff, obviously the 4 copies of Meltdown and the 2 Invocation. 3's a little bit overkill for me, so I'm just on the 2. If you're a real good Invoked player, you'll open one of your starters and an Invocation just to punish your opponent for ashing one of them. That's just hilarious, and Meltdown's insane, guys. That's definitely one thing I want to highlight for this list specifically, is a lot of people just don't understand, or they don't remember from the beginning of the year, didn't play, weren't playing the competitive scene at that point. Meltdown has insane interactions with all of your fusion spells. Because I want to read it word for word so that it makes the most sense to you, right? This card says, the activation of your cards and effects that include an effect that fusion summons a fusion monster cannot be negated. Also, your opponent's cards and effects cannot activate when a when a monster is fusion summoned this way. So, literally, they cannot respond to like a card that has the effect that fusion summons. So Invocation, Shaddol Fusion, El Shaddol Fusion, Schism, they just can't respond, and they can't respond to the summon of the monster. So if you were to summon a monster like App Cologne or something that has an effect on summon, your opponent can't even respond to those either. So like, it's just insane. Like this card is just like busted. It has so many interactions that just say like, you don't get to respond to this. I know you want to, but you can't, so sorry. So definitely that's one of the most busted parts about this, and that card specifically is why I think this variant is better than Trap Shaddolls competitively. And I don't think this variant's better than the Dogmatica one, just because like that little extra oomph from the Dogmatica stuff really puts this deck like over the top for me. I really think it could be a tier 1 deck if more people played it, but you know, we have these crazy combo decks everybody wants to play right now. The last of the spells, though, I do play one Called by the Grave, mainly because Ash is just a pain, and like it hits like pretty good stuff versus like all these matchups anyway. And then these two, like versus dinosaurs. Like the 3 tier 1 decks right now are like Dinos, Dragon Link, and Infernoble. This like hits Miscellaneousaurus in the Dino matchup. That pretty much makes them like pass. Like they usually can't do much more after that. Versus the Dragon Link, you can hit like anything when they're trying to. You can hit like Spheres going second, and you can hit like Herald going second, so it baits out like another negate if they really want that negate to resolve and stuff. So it just kind of like helps you bait extra negates without like committing too many cards to it. So it's pretty good. I am on the Foolish Burial here. This one's definitely questionable. Some people have dropped this from like Shaddol builds altogether. I still think it's fine. I mean, looking at the stuff that you can send, you're literally just like, oh, like let me pop a back row, let me banish 3 cards from your grave, let me draw a card, let's just upstart Goblin, right? Like let me add a Shaddol monster. I can send another Shaddol monster just to get any of these effects and get an extra Shaddol engraved for Schism, or I can just special summon a Shaddol face down. Like there's so much utility there. It's not insane, but I do think it is a card that just works really well in the deck, so I figured why not play it, and I had like a little bit of extra room once I put everything else in, obviously, and then the Upstart Goblin. I think just like with Meltdown and Shaddol Fusion, like those are just the biggest power cards in your deck. So I do agree with like playing a 39 card deck, because this deck really can't afford to play any of the big draw cards. You can't really afford to play any pop cards. Can't play Desires, can't play Extravagance. You won't be able to play Disparity when it comes out, because you use so many cards in your extra deck when you end up in a grind game. It's crazy. So I just think Upstart's just like the only draw card you can afford to play. You know, add a little bit of consistency. And then for the last 2 cards in the deck, we have the Shaddol Traps. We have Shaddol Schism. Sorry, I still have a proxy here, guys. I meant to pick it up earlier this week, but I didn't, and I wanted to get this list out. So Shaddol Schism, this card is amazing. I think it might be the best Shaddol card in the game. This card's insane. Watch out for Cosmic Cyclone, though, because getting Cosmic on this is actually really painful. So just keep that in mind. And then Reshal Incarnation. Just a cool card that comes up sometimes to just, like, get you a flip. If you draw it, you can just set it and, like, get a special summon back of a Wendy, like, on your opponent's turn. And, like, or a Winda, not Wendy. Of a Winda on your opponent's turn. And then just, like, there you go. Now they're locked out of summoning. That's always fun. So... yeah, they're just both really good, but Schism's insane. If you play more than a 40 card deck, if you're playing like the 50 card trap variant, I might play 2 of this just because this card does get like cycloned, like you can be in a lot of trouble. But with 2 of them, like you can still play. So that, which takes us to the extra deck. This is going to be pretty quick and easy, honestly. For the fusions, the Shaddol fusions at least, 3 Construct, 2 Winda, 2 Apcolone, or Apcolone, whatever it's actually pronounced. I don't know why I don't have the second one. I literally was looking for it. I was like, I swore I have a second one. I think Chris has it, whatever. 2 of him, and then for the, Apcolone definitely comes up at 2. Before, a lot of people played him at 1, whatever. Construct's automatic 3 of. Winda's insane because some meta decks can out 1 Winda, but they can't out a second Winda. So that's why you play 2. And then we have the Macabre and 1 invoked Algoides. So one thing that's interesting here is a lot of people would probably be playing Purgatrio here, but I think Algoides makes a little bit more sense. You don't have to he doesn't require specific attribute engrave. Like as long as you've gone through Alistair at some point, you'll be able to go into him. And he's really, really cool. He has a particularly strong interaction with Meltdown because your opponent, he's gonna like on summon attempt to pop a card. And your opponent's not going to be able to respond to that, then he like gains a booties load of attack points. So then he can push for a ton of damage. So he kind of does similar things to Purg as far as like pushing for big amounts of damage. But I think he also has like that busted interaction, which I really like. And fusing off like a Shaddol monster too can like, you can chain block or just get extra value off that anyway. So there's some pretty cool interactions with him. I thought he was a little bit better than Purg. But if you want to play Purg, that's up to you. Obviously, it's pretty easy to set up. That's it for the fusions. For the Link monsters, I play 1 Gravity Controller, 1 Almirage, 1 Secure Gardena, 1 Shaddol Construct, and 1 Cyframe Lord Lambda. Pretty basic here. Gravity Controller is really cool. Almost every time I'm like fusion summoning a Shaddol monster, I love putting them in the extra monster zone. Not every single time, but a lot of the time you're going to want to put them there because even if they get negated or your opponent does something to like neutralize them, you can just link them off for Gravity Controller and then just get all those resources back and like continue to like with your plays, which is really cool. Almirage and Secure Gardena, these are literally just for Alistair. You can go Alistair into Almirage, then Almirage into Secure Gardena, and there you go. That makes Alistair a 1 card Macabre because you'll have the Light and the Alistair. So yeah, you got to play the Almirage. I don't think you can afford to cut that. And then we have the Construct and the Lambda. Construct's really cool. It doesn't come up all the time, admittedly, in this kind of build, but it is still a really cool card. It allows you to like do some cool like specifically just the Shaddol stuff, obviously. But I just like the fact that like nobody thought this card was like really that good when it came out. They literally said this was like the worst Link Brains like Link monster to come out, period. And I actually think it's like not that bad of a card. It's actually pretty respectable. So kind of a cool card. It comes up every once in a while. And then, but definitely could be swapped out. If you really want to swap it out, this is definitely like the first slot I would look at swapping. And then Lambda, this is just so if you have the material on board, you can link some stuff off to then make a Gamma live in your hand that otherwise most likely wouldn't be for the rest of the duel because you just will have monsters because Shaddols are so sticky. They like always have monsters on board. So yeah, just makes those Gammas live, which is really cool. And you can also bluff with this. I love doing that, man, because so often you can go into this card and so many people are just going to be like, nobody's making Lambda if they don't have Gamma in hand. So I know he's got a Gamma. How do I play around Gamma? And then they do like suboptimal plays to try and play around Gamma. And if you never had it, you're just like, wow. You just like played yourself into a losing position because you feared the Gamma so hard. So it's pretty cool, but you know, mainly it's going to come up when you do have the Gamma. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Shaddol invoked deck profile. It's really, really, really a fun deck, but you just really got to make sure you like study up on the interactions for the deck because that really is a huge part of it. That's what makes this deck so strong is the interactions with like Meltdown and how strong Shaddol Fusion is. So just make sure you understand a lot of the interactions with the cards. So you can really take full advantage of like what this deck does, like inherently busted. So yeah, that's my advice. Other than that, it's a really cool deck that rewards really good players with it. So definitely don't get discouraged if early on it's a little bit tough to get a hold of. You know, grasping like the concept and stuff, because once you get rolling with it, it really is a really fun deck to play. So you just got to stick with it a little bit. But that's going to end me off here, guys. Thank you so much for watching this deck profile. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you have any interesting suggestions for the build, keep in mind, I would throw the Dogmatica stuff in here if I had it. I just don't. So I'm keeping this strictly Shaddol Invoked. So let me know any suggestions for that build specifically. If there's anything you think I'm missing, anything you think I'm playing that I shouldn't be, I'm always accepting suggestions. I'm just one guy trying to build these decks the best that I can for you guys. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below on that. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more deck profiles from me in the future. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.